computer. All right. Okay. And Mr. Segun said that our youths, something is really going on. That why is it as if there's no job out there? That employers are looking for people to employ. However, if you ask the young ones, they say, no, I've been applying, I'm not getting the jobs. And we're like, no, are you employable? Do you have the right skills that they are looking for? So there's a mismatch. And that brought about this amazing training we are starting off today. We believe that from the questionnaire that people filled out, they are aware that they don't have some skills. Many people say that they want content writing, they want communication skills, they want emotional, so many things that many people filled out there today. But we have experts in various sectors, in the health sector, ICT, technology, human resources, communications here today, who will be revealing to all of us what we employers are actually looking for. And I think that would be a very good way to start the year, as we're still in January, so that we can bridge the gap and go straight to achieve our goals. So once again, welcome everyone. It's exactly 11 a.m. West African time. And my name is Ikalone Udo. I am a management consultant, the CEO of Danica Management Consultancy here in the city of Abuja. And with me is Mr. Segun. Segun, over to you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. It's nice to have you here. My name is Segun Lawal, and I'm an HR consultant. I'm a coach, and done a lot of projects in terms of training, recruitment, and I like to impact people. We've been doing that for quite a lot of organizations for some years in various industry. And today, Emerge has emerged. Yeah, that's the word.
Yes.
Emerge has emerged. So we have wonderful people in the house. We're going to take us through real life scenarios, real practical approaches to emerge this year as that candidate who's going to get that next job in the oil and gas sector, in the healthcare sector, finance sector, ICT, you can name it. I have my wonderful friend here, Ikalone. If it's communication, you can give it to her, man. I can't even wait to hear everybody talk. So I want us to get our writing materials and get ready to put something down that will add value to our lives. I will like to just hear from our facilitators, just a welcome talk, starting with Mrs. Lisa.
I would like to quickly introduce Mrs. Lisa. All right. Mrs. Lisa Williams Tukop. You pardon me, ma'am.
No problem.
All right. Holds a BSc in Business Administration from the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and Masters in Human Resource Management from the University of Middlesex, UK. She started her career in EcoBank Nigeria PLC, where she worked in human resources as well as the branch operations. She has also worked in the banking and oil and gas industries in the United Kingdom. She is currently the head of human resources, Nisa Premier Hospital, Abuja. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Okay, so let me quickly introduce the next panelist here today, and that is, okay, is Mr. Jude here?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Let me quickly.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes. Okay.
Let me turn on my video so you can see me.
Please do. Okay, we can see you. Yes, I can see you. So, Mr. Jude Oketa has over 15 years experience in information technology. That is the way for the future. That is the way now. He possesses extensive experience on a wide range of computing skills, ranging from solutions architecture to software development, as well as expertise business solutions. He's adept at systems analysis, design, and development. He has consulted on multiple enterprise systems and technology projects for groups, holding companies, conglomerates, and the public sector in Nigeria. Mr. Jude holds a Bachelor of Engineering in Civil Engineering from the Federal University of Technology, Mina, and a Master's in Business Administration from the Business Schools, Netherlands. He also received an Executive Management Development Certificate in Critical Organization. Wow, the list goes on and on and on. From the Netherlands. He holds an Executive Management Development Certificate in Human Resource Management for the same institution. Listen to this. He has a postgraduate diploma in Artificial Intelligence. Everybody's hearing about the AI. He has a PhD in that field, and we would love to hear the brilliance. All right, you're welcome, sir. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, sir. And to our next facilitator. Segun, do you have his profile there?
Yes.
Please,
I will call him my guy at the top. Dr. Larry. Dr. Larry is a trainer, and he's done a lot of projects in terms of training. But one interesting thing I like to say about Dr. Larry, Dr. Larry retired from the Central Bank of Nigeria as a director in human resource management.
Wow.
So he's also the principal consultant and is an HR practitioner at Divine, ICA, and Associates. He likes to keep it low, and I'm going to take that for him from now, but I can assure you that we've got someone from the financial industry at its apex to really dish out things that will add value to our lives.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Segun. Thank you so much. So we're going to quickly go straight into the meat of this event. So Segun and I have been talking, and I've had over 15 years experience in the financial industry. I've worked in an insurance industry, Nikon Insurance precisely. Then I went to Diamond Bank, former Diamond, well, it's defunct right now, Guarantee Trust Bank, and UBA. And over the years, I knew what got me into those job places. I knew the skills that I needed to have to get there. But now that I have my own business, I have interviewed a lot of people, and I'm shocked, always shocked, disappointed at the crop of young people who want to work. Most times, the only thing they want to talk about is how much will you pay? That's what I hear them say. And I'm like, where is the experience? And they tell me that they can learn very fast on the job. And I'm like, really? Is that the first thing? So I would like to start with you, Madam Lisa. How has it been, or what have you seen as the gap that young people have that has not made them even get into being interviewed? Because first of all, it starts with their application. And it's not everybody that applies that even gets called. So can you share with us the gravity of the issues that are around employment nowadays, ma'am?
Thank you very much. Yes, I totally agree with you, because it is a major challenge that we all face, I think, in our roles where we are dealing with individuals on a daily basis that are looking for jobs. And when the process starts where people apply for the vacancies that are available, or they just submit their CVs, hoping that when a vacancy is made available, they will be considered for that. One of the things that I do at my church is I do sessions with job seekers on how to develop your CV and also how to attend interviews. And one of the key things we find in people when they write their CVs is they don't take the attention that is required in preparing a CV. A lot of people are still in the mindset of giving your CV to someone to prepare for you. You don't own the process. You don't learn about what is on that document that represents you. And you just push it forward thinking, oh, this is, my representation and I'm the best at what I do. So somebody somewhere is going to see this and automatically think that this is, I am the person for this position. Now, when I take a CV and I look at it, obviously you're looking for the requisite qualifications, you're looking for, the experience that the individual has. And a lot of times you'd scan through a CV and find, oh, wow, what a wonderful CV. And then you try to contact the candidate in whatever format you is available to you. Most often you say, oh, let me make a quick phone call. I have recently, even as far back as last week, seen an incident where I had on the cover letter a phone number with 12 digits, and all Nigerian phone numbers are 11 digits. On the CV was the phone number with 11 digits. Now, from the cover letter, I can't choose which 12 digits are the applicable digits. So I would say, I assume that what is on the CV must be the correct number. And then I dial the number and I'm told it's a wrong number. So obviously, this individual has created an opportunity for me to reach him, but he has blocked it by himself because he's now either made a mistake and not cross-checked it, or has not really put in the consideration that he needs to ensure that he can be contacted. Yes, there's an email address on the CV, but will I now take my time specifically to start emailing him and asking him to contact me? Out of many different candidates that I'm looking at, I might just say, well, he's not a serious person. That's also for me a question about his attention to detail. If I'm going to employ that individual, would I be expecting him to make those type of mistakes in crucial parts of his role? Exactly. So there's a lot of laxity on the part of individuals when it comes to seeking jobs. They are not putting in the effort that they require to make sure that they're actually selling themselves and giving themselves the best opportunities to get that job that they're looking for.
All right, thank you so much. Not paying attention to details. Now, over to you, Dr. Larry. Dr. Larry, you have been in the financial sector and you see that most of these young people, they are looking for those kind of highbrow kind of jobs or high package jobs where they can earn, in fact, 100,000 without any skill at all. So what has it been from your years of experience? What are the basic requirements that any young person should have before they are hired, sir? What should they have? Please unmute your device, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share my experiences with the young people.
Yes.
And to also join you in helping to prepare them for a career in whatever field that they may want to go into. Well, from my experience, it's been a mixed bag because I'll talk first about CBN as an organization. We are a public sector organization, but driven wholly by private sector initiatives. So in which case, we are not the regular public sector organization. We are more private sector-led management, as it were. So we operate best practice in particularly in HR and in many other areas within the organization. So we've had opportunities to have to bring in people into the organization, do some headhunting, and then do recruitment for fresh graduates and experienced hires and people who don't have much experience. From me, what I discovered is the unique skills required to work in the organization I worked in is not very common out there, because many times when we bring people in, or we try to bring people in, and they tell me they have 10 years working experience. They have 10 years working experience. And I asked them, in which central bank did you work that you had 10 years working experience? Because I know that in central bank, the competencies you require are not out there. They're not in the commercial banks. They are not in any other sector. It's a unique sector. So if I take off from there, I want to advise the young people, you need to build your competencies. You need to find out precisely this sector I want to work in. What are the required competencies? Not just that you have a degree qualification. Of course, your skills can stand you out, but your competencies are equally very important, because that is exactly what, at the point of interview, you want to see what you can do, what it is. Lisa was talking about people's CVs as the very first point of contact with a would-be candidate. From my own experience, I've discovered that most of our young people don't spend time in couching their CV to reflect who they really are. They do a lot of cut and paste here and there. They look at somebody else's CV. It looks beautiful. It's eye-catchy. They lift it and, paste it right there on their own CV, and then they come. And then when you do just ordinary desk appraisal, you talk with them on desk appraisal basis, and somebody tells you, I have an analytical skills. Let me use that as an example. You have analytical skills, and I simply just ask you, can you give me an example of a time when you used that skill? Just paint a scenario of, somewhere along the line where you have used that skill. And suddenly he realizes that he doesn't even understand what analytical skills means, and that he has never really had an opportunity to utilize that skill, if he has it. But it sounds nice. I mean, oh, you have analytical, beautiful, fine. But beyond that, when you come to sit down and engage in a conversation, you have to defend those things in your CV. Because if it's a serious organization, they will want to really establish whether you really do have this or you don't, or you just plagiarize somebody's work and then brought it in. So we've had instances where we've had to recruit young people, with zero experience. Yeah. And then we have made up our mind that we are going to put them through training, all manner of training, because of the unique competencies required in the organization. So for me, it's our talent management is very robust, from the point of identifying who the persons are, bringing them in, onboarding them, and taking them through all the necessary stuff. So it's out there is like a jungle. Everybody is pitching. Everybody is just doing whatever he thinks. But if you do whatever you think, it won't get you what you want. I think the starting point is research into which sector you want to play in. What kind of job do you want to do? Decide exactly what kind of job do I want to do. There are people who read political science, who read law, who read different things, but they decided that they want to become HR people. Some say they want to become, okay, I want to be a communicator. I want to work in the newspaper house. They have the areas where they have a passion to work in. So what do you want to do next? You want to go develop competencies in those areas. You don't need to read HR before you begin to take a career in HR. Identify what it takes to be an HR person, and then go and prepare yourself for it. Thank God for resources online. You can use those resources online to begin to build your capacity in those areas, because the employers these days are looking for fairly ready-made individuals, people who they'll hit the ground running. They don't have that time anymore to begin to say they want to start grooming somebody from the scratch. They are interested in people. When you come in, what are you coming to do? What are you bringing to the table? What are we going to pay you for? that is actually what what my experience has actually taught me for this number of years.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Larry. And that brings me to what my experience has been, that many people, they actually do not have the skills, and they are not willing to even say, okay, can I come in as an intern in the area I am interested in to learn? So when we have the interview with them, do you have this skill? Not really. Can you type? Not so fast. So they want you to bring them in, and they want to earn like an expert. And that is where the mismatch is. And they walk away losing years instead of them to humble themselves, come in, gain the competencies, so they can now say, yes, I'm okay. Now I'm going to you, Mr. Jude. Mr. Jude, your area is a very technical area. It is ICT. And you know that now that is where most young people want to go into. In fact, all the things about technology, how to use the social media, it has to be with you have to be skillful. How, from your experience, how has it been grooming people, these young people who are not really able to sit down to learn? They're always distracted. How has it been with you employing people and ensure that they are stable enough to learn? They are mostly restless, always distracted with the phones. How have you coped with ensuring that these people stay on the job to do the work without being distracted? Because your area is ICT. Or what are the skills that people in the ICT should have? Over to you, Mr. Jude.
Okay. Thank you so much. I've listened to everybody speak, and I think everybody has hit the nail on the head. For ICT, it's some sort of a specialized area. And we cannot, let me start by saying that you cannot make judgments for ICT by just looking at a CV. And I'll start by telling a story. I used to work for an ICT firm, a very big one here in Abuja, before I went out to establish my own company. And I was a database administrator in that particular organization. And we had this guy come in with a very fantastic CV. If you see this guy's CV, a lot of certifications, lots of exams. In fact, it was something to jump at. So my boss quickly jumped at it and hired the guy. But I think, so I'm just trying to lay this foundation. So you see the gaps. He hired him, and he brought him on board. As a matter of fact, he was even supposed to be our boss, because of his certification. There was so much, every CV was fantastic. And he gave him an assignment as simple as back up a database for a particular government institution. This was very practical. And this guy didn't even know where to start from. He didn't even understand what the word that backup means. He didn't understand what the technical word meant. So we're looking at him and we're so shocked that we thought, how did you get all these things without knowing how to do this simple thing? So we had to take him through that process. But eventually, what my boss at that particular time did was to say, okay, you, with all these your certifications, you have to become an intern. So he went through internship under us to be able to upscale him to become what he is today. Why am I saying this? In my own organization, when we recruit people, especially like people that are technical in the ICT space, we don't just look at the CV. We also take that person through some sort of practical assessment. Something that is a real life scenario where, okay, if you're faced with this kind of situation, how would you handle it? And I will agree with you that a lot of people, are just there looking for money. They are not really interested in the skill. So what we did, just to also answer part of your question, is that we started an academy in our organization where we bring in young people from NYSC, people that want to do internship, you know, and we groom them up in certain skills, but they must be very willing, not people that just want to come and waste time. Very willing hearts that want to come over to learn a particular skill, and you're specific. ICT is extremely broad. Where do you want to focus on? You know, so we take them through this particular journey. They're on this particular some form of internship program, and when they are done, we can harvest people from that particular space to work for us, and others now go out into the labor market, you know, and surprisingly they get good jobs. You know, they get good jobs, and we have good testimony. I've had people who have left that particular academy and have got job with IOM. We have two currently working with IOM. We have one now working for eHealth Africa, you know, and they are doing very well for themselves. So that is exactly what we're doing currently, just to see people help in that particular space. Because we've also seen people come in, you know, and with very little experience. Maybe you just know one small thing and you've only spent 1 year out of school and you are requesting for a very huge amount of salary. And I'm wondering, how can you be requesting for this kind of pay with this little experience, you know? So that's exactly what we're doing currently. And my advice to the young people out there is to stay focused and try to learn. There should be that spirit of internship. If you don't have that experience, you need to learn it. All right. If you look at the ICT sector today, the labor market today, the entire job space today, everything is ICT driven.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, McKinsey has also said it, that 60%, you know, 30% of 60% of jobs currently right now will be automated. You know, so we don't have a choice but to learn part of these ICT skills to stay relevant within our various sectors. I think I'll hold on for now.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So now what I hear you say is that there has to be an internship program that
Yes.
even if you go to school and read computer science, you cannot come out and say you understand computer or the whole ICT world. I have two examples. So last 2 years, I actually approached NYSC to give me a student or a graduate that read computer science because I needed somebody to fit into that place in my organization. So I recruited this girl. And to my amazement, she said she had never seen a computer. I asked her, "You mean you don't know how to type?" She said, "No, ma." So which school did you go to? She mentioned one private school in Benue State. Do you know this girl did not know how to type? That was when I knew that the schools, in fact, people say that schooling is a scam. Most times they go to school or schools, they just teach the theoretical aspect, but the real life situation to fit into the workplace, they are not groomed. So there's a gap between the schools and the real life. And who is going to fit in? So that is where I strongly believe that during that NYSC, they should go to a place and learn. But the truth is that the corpers are not interested in learning. This year, after that, my terrible experience, she didn't stay up to 1 year. I told her I sent her back even after training her. I said she does not have the skills I need. You know, I trained her, but she could not meet up. So I sent her back to NY. So this year I decided to apply again for new corpers. And you won't believe I asked for English graduates and mass communication graduates. They sent me exactly what I needed. The very first lady read English. And I told her that, "Oh, brilliant. You're going to teach." Guess what she told me? "Ma, I hate teaching." I said, "But you read English." She said, even the attitude was totally wrong. I was like, Then she now told me that, "Ma, that I don't want to teach. I want to learn interior decoration." I said, "Why you don't go to school to read English?" That was one case. Then the next lady that read mass communication, she came to me and her rudeness, she was so rude because she was shouting on me on the phone and was saying, "Ma, you have kept me here for too long." I was not at work. It was during Christmas. So you can see that even apart from them not paying attention to details during their CV, they don't have the skills. Attitude and character is another thing that will not allow them to even get into the office space. So people don't have manners. I don't know how they are trained. I know that when we were in university, you said that the school should go through you and you should go through the school. But right now, I think some people just feel, I don't know where they came from, but please, back to you, Madam Lisa. You are an HR expert. I know you have seen many professionals in the medical sector. What are those things that even though they come out with the Johns Hopkins certificate, that will not allow you to get them in that place? Some things that will not allow them to get hired, no matter how good they are. And those that mistakenly get into the door will easily get out. Please, can you share with those who will be listening right now the things we're actually looking for? Is it actually just competencies?
Okay, well, thank you so much. Honestly, that sense of self-entitlement that they have at this point, is something that is very, very scary, because as you've said, the attitude, the rudeness, the approach, the mentality that I have everything that I should be able to, to do. I think the way that the world has changed now with, the advance of technology, everything comes to them very quickly. So they think, if I've seen it on the internet, maybe I've watched it on TikTok, then as far as I'm concerned, I understand it from the beginning to the end, especially based on what they have seen. They don't realize that there are many steps and processes that, someone has gone through to get from that beginning stage to the end. Now, in the healthcare sector, that is a sector where life and death is in your hands. So when you are taking on a role in that kind of an environment, whatever position you take, there are fundamental things that you must recognize. The soft skills that come with you as an individual, which are the attributes that you use to influence, your circumstances or influence and enhance your communications with others. Those are very important in the healthcare industry. Not that they're not important in every other industry, but when you're looking at life and death in your hands as a human being, we're now not putting ourselves in the place of God, but we're putting ourselves in the place where the things that we do can determine the outcomes, or can hinder the outcomes that are going to, affect someone's life in this particular instance. So the skills that one would really require to have in the healthcare industry, first and foremost, would be empathy. You must be able to put yourself in the position of who you're dealing with. You must see yourself and say, whatever the circumstance is, I must recognize it. And if we all look at it, anybody can ask themselves, when was the last time I was sick? When was the last time I was very, very sick? How did you feel? I always say to my staff, you're not dealing with a person who is reasoning normally. Yeah. You and I wake up in the morning and we say, I'm going to work. No human being wakes up in the morning and decides, today I just want to go and visit the hospital because I really don't have anything better to do. And my options, I can go to the cinema, I can go to the, to the mall, but I can also go to the hospital and let me just go and let somebody insult me. Of course, a person will come to the hospital because they are sick. And when a person is sick, their level of reasoning may not always be what we expect from a normal person who feels, as well as they could be. So we must put ourselves in that place where we empathize with them and say, okay, whatever is going on here, I need to recognize that and be able to understand that this person is screaming at me. It's not me, it's the situation, So empathy is number one. Communication is the second one that I would say, because no matter who you're dealing with in the industry, you're dealing with your patients, you're dealing with patients' relatives, you're dealing with coworkers, you're dealing with external, external influences. You could be dealing with, an agency that's coming to have some business with the organization, and it could be in any of the roles that you're dealing with. Imagine a situation where someone comes from, AEDC to come and check the meter, and the security man decides to be rude to him. And he decides, okay, I'm going to go and switch off the electricity. Everything is affected that day. So every role that you have, you must learn how to communicate. The same security man could be rude to a patient's relative in the car park, and that patient may be a VIP. A porter or a care assistant may find themselves in a situation where they're dealing with, an instruction from a doctor, and what the communication has not passed through properly, or the individual did not understand. A major incident is about to happen from that. So communication is key. Another thing that you need to recognize, as I've mentioned, is teamwork. All those things, everybody must work together. You cannot have a care assistant thinking that my job is the most important job, and if I'm not given the respect of my role, then I'm not going to do my work, and I will not take the sample to the lab because I don't like that lab manager who spoke to me rudely today when he called me and asked me to carry his bag. And that now will affect the patient's results, which may ultimately affect the life and death situation. So there's so many things when it comes to teamwork. We must all recognize the importance of every role is important, and every role must support each other. Otherwise, the entire mission, it's like a football game. If one person is kicking the ball and running towards the goalpost and everybody is standing there and looking at him, how does that game get played? Work ethic. Work ethic is another skill that you must have. You must recognize the need to be professional. You cannot come into the healthcare industry and have the mentality of a mechanic. Okay, the car is not working, it's not working. You have to buy this, you have to buy that. You have to have a professional mentality to everything that you approach. You must be punctual to work. You must, be helpful. You must go the extra mile. You can't find yourself in a situation, okay, I'm HR, I'm walking past a patient in the hospital. The person looks lost. Oh, well, he's lost. He'll eventually find his way to wherever he needs to go to. Or that customer service person will somehow maybe find them and come and, show them the way. It's my responsibility to say, please, how, where are you going? Can I help you? And even, maybe direct them or even take them there. That then shows that you've, given that person the consideration. That person may just be about to fall down at that point. He may have been so disorientated that where he found himself and he was slumped there and then. So you must have that mentality to be able to say, my work ethic puts me in a place where I can, go beyond what I'm expected to do based on my job description. This is a whole, everything that is involved, I take responsibility. At any point, I can take responsibility. The ability to work under pressure. You must have the ability to be able to work under pressure. A lot of us find ourselves in situations where we feel so overwhelmed. And that's now the important part of it, is for you to be able to say, how do I manage my stress? What do I need to do to be able to manage my own stress? But working in a healthcare facility will put you under immense pressure because everything is dependent on something else. And if it's not done properly, then what ends up happening is that it may cause a failure in the chain of, events. So you must be very conscious in the things that you do. Flexibility then comes into play, because you could come to work on your normal 8 to 5 shift, and the person who is due to relieve you at 5 p.m. does not now show up for work. You may now have to take an extra shift. So you have to put yourself in that role. A lot of people think that I only want to work 8 to 5. Once it's 5 o'clock, please don't call my name. Yeah. But if you work in healthcare, you may work a gamut of shifts. You could work 8 to 5, you could work 5 to 8, you could work 8 to 8, be it a day shift or a night shift. You don't have weekends, you don't have public holidays. So these are things you need to put into consideration when you take on those type of roles. You can't come in and say, I want to work, but I only want to work from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Don't call me outside that. And if I'm not going to work in that role, then I'm not interested, because all the roles, even administrative roles, I could get called over a weekend, I could get called over at night. You must put yourself in a role where if you are in a clinical place as a lab scientist, the lab must run 24/7. Yeah. And I always say to my staff during induction that when you woke up and decided to be a doctor, somewhere in the back of your mind, you knew you would have to do a night shift. That's why I didn't want to be a doctor, because I want to stay at home at night. But when you've chosen a career, you would have to understand all the kinds of work patterns that may be involved in that particular, career. Then you look at time management. Again, like I said, healthcare is life and death. If you waste time making a decision in something, it can have a major, major negative impact. One of the things that we have found recently is in our country, Nigeria, people are getting wiser to medical legal issues. In the past, no one cared. If something happened in the hospital, they would say, oh, it's the will of God. Right now, anything that happens, somebody would be sitting there and saying, but could I blame someone for this? Could I make money from this? 100 million, please. You didn't do this at the time you were supposed to do it. And as a result of that, this happened. So I want 100 million. Like my salary is 100 million, How much money are you bringing into the organization? But your mistake, somebody will come after the organization for it. So these are the things that you really need to put into consideration. Your confidence levels. Are you confident enough to be able to say, I am here. I know what I am doing. I know my job. Just like, Mr. Jude said, do I have the requisite skills to be able to do it? Not just the qualification, but can I actually do it? Am I learning about what the advances in the healthcare industry are? Am I doing things, in 1947 medicine? Everybody's using WebMD now. So before they even come to the hospital, they have already Googled what their symptoms are. They have already given themselves a diagnosis. They're coming to test you and find out, what do you know? So you are now picking up one textbook and reading what you learned in university. Have you built up your confidence in your skills? Are you upgrading yourself? Are you learning what you need to learn? And are you confident if you feel that you need to maybe speak to a supervisor to give some guidance? Are you taking using those, taking advantage of those, things that are available to you? So the skills that you need when you work in healthcare are very crucial to your ability to be able to progress in your career in healthcare.
All right.
So
thank you so much. Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you so much for that very detailed explanation of the skills. Who is transferring the cough to me? Thank you so much for that explanation. So I'm going straight to Dr. Larry. Dr. Larry, it's your turn to share with us what we need in the financial sector. What do young people need to have? The skills they need to have to cope in the financial sector. Over to you, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you so very much, Ikalone.
Yes.
Yeah, no, don't worry. I know. You see, there's something peculiar about the banking industry that we need to know ab initio. The different improvements and the different developments in the banking industry didn't really come from the core bankers. It came from people with different backgrounds that came into banking, queried the paradigms in the banking system, and then made their own impact, changing the way things were being done. I mean, if you look at the history of the banking industry in Nigeria, until the Standard Trust banks of this world came on board, if you remember, the younger ones may not remember our where is my tally number advert that we had in those days. Okay, because going to the bank was such, was a day's experience. Just to go and withdraw just a few naira, you spend 5 hours there. Why? Because it was never automated. We had these massive boxes at the back of the banking hall where they put all the mandate cards. So when you drop your check or your withdrawal slip, somebody will physically go and begin to check, and that will take another hour. They will, then they will tell you your signature is not regular, and you spend 5 hours for a transaction that shouldn't take you 5 minutes. Now, for the core bankers, that was okay because that is what they grew up with as it was in the beginning. So let us continue that way. But you can then imagine what the pharmacists brought in, the medical doctors brought in, the engineers brought in, and of course, IT, what it did to banking.
Yeah.
It so changed the entire face of banking. Well, so when Standard Trust came in and did a lot of innovative banking, of course, they stood out. And you know how Standard Trust could acquire UBA. Nobody will ever have understood how that happened. But again, that was the power of innovation. Now, so people have made incursion into the banking industry with varied backgrounds, querying the paradigms in banking. Why do we do it this way? Why not this way? And so what am I driving at? In terms of academic qualification, you don't require a banking degree. I don't know how many of the people today who are CEOs in the banks have degrees in banking. They really don't have degrees in banking. They are lawyers, they are engineers, name it. But they have taken interest in the banking and they have tried to carve a niche for themselves, determining for themselves where they want to play. Now, we need to understand the entire value chain of banking. For so many people, the front office teller is who they regard as the banker. But those who are actually doing the banking, the business of banking, are in the back office. You don't see them. The treasurers, the IT people, the strategists, and the rest of them, you don't see them. And so the average young person will think that, okay, banking is all about coming in there, you go to their training school, you come back, and then you'll be thrown out there. And of course, what you think you need will be basically good interpersonal relationship skills to be able to manage as a customer service person. But beyond that, the banking profession, it's not an all-commerce affair. It's not an all-commerce affair. Those who do the actual banking are not people you see on the streets on a daily basis. They are so remote from the limelight. Now, for you to be successful as a banker, irrespective of your learning, whatever degrees that you have had, for you to succeed as a banker, you must have very strong analytical skills. No matter the nature of your role in the banking industry, the simple truth is that you cannot advance, very far in banking and finance unless you possess good analytical skills. When I say good analytical skills, these skills will enable you to be able to identify trends, patterns, and definitive conclusions from realms of data. You look at, you look at a stream of data, and then you can begin to project. You can take, a position, an informed position based on your ability to analyze the data that is available. Okay, now these are what you find the treasurers do in the back end. And also, you will expect that somebody who is in the banking hall and is a cash manager, is the one in charge of cash, to be able to understand what time of the month there's more demand for cash, and what time of the month should I reduce the number of tellers I have in the cage because we don't have much people coming in. All those data that you take, you must be able to analyze them. So it's a skill that you need to develop. Then secondly, you must become, because you must have commercial skills, commercial awareness. You must be aware of the nature of the business and the future development, in your business. You want to be able to understand, for you to run a branch, for instance, or for you to work in a branch, for instance, you want to be able to understand that you have to manage costs. You may meet your target, but the important thing, the question I will ask, at what cost? Meeting the target is not may not be difficult, or may not be what we will be interested in if the cost of meeting those targets are so high. So you want to look at the commercial considerations. You want to be sure that You can understand the changes in the markets and the rest of it. You know, today, if you look at the demography of the people who actually are using the banking system for their businesses, they are the young people. So they are the ones that you actually will want to target, not the older generation. The older generation will not be so they don't want to leave their comfort zone. They want to remain where they are, and they want the service not to change. I know how long it took quite a number of people to agree to pick up an ATM card. And before it took them time again to get an application on their phones. They don't trust the system. I still find people who, when they are given money from the ATM machine, they stand aside and count and recount because they don't trust those machines. Now, these are the kinds of things that that you find out there. Okay, so it will be a banker should be somebody who has commercial awareness and he knows what is trending within the industry, and then he should be able to. When you go for an interview and you tell them I have commercial awareness, you should be able to tell them, look, I can scan the environment and tell you what is trending, what has changed, what are others doing, because you learn how to benchmark and how to improve on your processes. Then the third skill that you require is having an attention to details. You can't afford not to do that. One of the don'ts of banking is that you don't. It's only yourself that you trust. It's only yourself. You can vouch for yourself that you will not do the most unlikely things, because the very person that you are mentoring and the very person that you are coaching is learning from you. If he's not a trustworthy individual, he will learn from you, and what he has learned, he will use it to beat the system.
That's true. And
then you'll be so sorry. So when such your proteges, when they come up with their outputs, take time to study it and look at it very, very closely. And so even you as a young person, you coming into the industry, you have to learn how to be patient in doing the things that you do, because there are some processes that will require for you to actually sit down and look at it again and again, so that if there is any error or infraction, you can be able to push it and escalate it, and then and not get people into trouble. Then the other thing you will need is determination. Now, if you look at all of these things I'm talking about, they are like personal values. They are like things that you should develop. It becomes a part of who you are. You are determined. You are given a target. You don't sit down whining. This target is we can't meet it. No. Yes, we can. Let's make a run for it. And then and your bosses will know that you are a determined individual when they see the efforts that you are putting in to ensure that the assignment is carried out. Another thing that you must develop and you must go into the financial and banking space is your work ethics. It's very key. Are you an ethical person or anything goes kind of person? Unfortunately or incidentally, I was at an event on Wednesday. A friend was celebrating 60th birthday. And lo and behold, one young lady walked in with bundles of 200, 500 mint, the new currency, came to sell to people to spray at that party. And meanwhile, we don't have the money in the banks. We don't have it in the machines. The bankers, the cash managers, the tellers, they that got this money, they have looked for their agents and given it to them, and they were coming to the party. And I was telling the person that organized the party that I may want to do a citizen's arrest this girl, call my office in Tinubu, send them to send us the security, take her away, and find out from her where she got the money from. The money that they say is not available in the in the public, somebody is bringing them in bundles to come and sell. And that individual did not get it from central bank, but central bank had given the money to the commercial banks. And the branch managers, the cash managers, this is what they chose to do. No ethics, no matter what it is. So if you are not ethical, anything goes. Anybody that comes to tell you there is a deal, and somehow these things, they fail. And eventually, I'm sure if I insisted on pushing through a citizen's arrest, let this lady tell us where she got what was the source of her funds. I know quite a number of people will agree with me. There are those that will come and beg, because I will just introduce myself, call the police. This is my ID card. This is who I am. And I want to get to the bottom of this, because we cannot find the money in the banks. But somebody is bringing it here for us to be able to use to spray on people. So issue of ethics and professionalism is very key. It's something you will develop. Like it was rightly said, when you are doing your internship in the bank, for those 6 months, it is part of what you ought to be taught. Ethics of banking, professionalism in banking, and you should be ready to shift, and acquire these very important skills. Then, of course, you should be a very confident person. I'm not saying that you should be a sweet-mouthed person, but confident in the fact that you are able to take on responsibilities and you're not afraid to take it, because the general perception people have of bankers is that they cannot be trusted. You can't rely on a banker, because like the Yorubas will say, what he wants to eat has made him to lose his senses. But that shouldn't be the case. That really shouldn't be the case. You work with a lot of confidence. Hold your head above water, and let your yes be your yes. And when something is not doable, you tell somebody it's not doable confidently. If it's doable, tell them yes, it's doable, and do it. And it has to be genuinely done without having to cut corners. Then the seventh thing you need to have going into the banking system is that you must have the technical competencies. This is digital age, and you can't work in the bank if you don't have technical competencies in IT. Basic technical competencies. You must know how to use the Microsoft Word, the Excels of this world. You should be able to know how to make presentations, to cut slides, and the rest of it. Because not many organizations will recruit you and send you to go and learn how to use a computer, for instance, or how to do Excel. They don't have that time. It's a waste of money for them to employ you and then ask you to go and start learning how to. What they will teach you basically is the application that they are using at their own end. So with your background knowledge of IT, you can easily pick up what the applications are all about, and then you can easily fit it especially for new entrants into the industry. If it's an experienced hire, nobody will be asking you, do you know IT? They'll just give you this is what you are using. Okay, and then they want to ask you, so how much do you know about all of these things? So again, nobody can learn for you. You learn yourself. What I tell people, I don't emphasize training, because you can attend all the trainings that you need, but learning is personal. So are you learning? Have you learned anything? You have attended a training program. What have you learned? And learning is personal. Nobody can learn for you. So as somebody going into the banking industry, you should be a fast learner. You should be quick to learn. You should ask questions. You should seek for information, particularly what is trending in the banking industry today in terms of IT. What applications are people coming up with? We now have Finacle. So many things are coming up. Nigerians are showing why they are Nigerians with the kind of innovation that they are bringing into all of these payment platforms that we have all over the place. So it's a requirement. Then one other personal one that is important is, how do you manage stress? How do you manage stress? You must be a very good stress manager, because the job is a high, it's one that requires a lot of stress. You'll be stressed. As a banker, you are permanently under, in fact, particularly under the current set of managers we have in the bank, who want to achieve the impossible. I mean, the kind of targets they set for people make people either resign immediately or they develop some kind of ailment. They become so stressed. Then the next thing is that they go to Canada and go to England. It's not because, just to go and do masters, and then it's an escape route because they are operating under very, very impossible targets. And they are so stressed up that they just give up and then they want to walk away. You have ungodly work hours. You get to work by 7 o'clock. You can't go home until 10 because you are the one in charge of teller. So if you don't have that staying power and you don't know how to manage stress, you will expire so quickly. And people will not understand when you say you are leaving the job. You want to go and sit down at home, at least for some time. Let me rest. Afterwards, I will come back. Another very important one you need to have is very good communication skills. Your communication skills must be top notch because you are not talking to the money. You are communicating with people. You are not speaking to the machines. It is people. And banking is it's a relationship between the customer and the bank, and you must be able to reach out to them. And of course, with your communication comes with, your interpersonal skills and your ability to understand who your customers are and how to tantalize them. And then finally, you must be very resilient. You must be somebody who has this can-do attitude, very resilient. You have to, because right now, I mean, the number of banks that we have in the country today, when a bank employs you, a bank does not wait for you for too long before they put you to the streets. And if you are, self-motivating, you know that maybe if you have the staying power, you can achieve the kind of targets that you are required to achieve. So those are a few of the things that a young person and an experienced person that wants to have a shot in the financial or banking system would need to make an effort to cultivate.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Larry. In fact, you've taken me back to my days in the financial sector, and you said a lot of amazing things. And indeed, I don't know about now, but I thank God I went through the financial sector. I thank God I was in the bank, because these things bring out your character. And doctor, you are very correct. Character is very important. Integrity is top notch. And for anybody that is greedy, that has long throat, you can't work in the bank. They'll just arrest you. Integrity is number one, because the money you'll be seeing everywhere is not your money. You see some people, they are working in the cash place. You just be seeing money, 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 money. It must balance. You will not go home. Nobody goes home. And in my own days, many people were arrested. Many people were arrested. I don't know what's happening in the financial sector now. We don't used to hear. Then you will hear this accountant, this bank officer picked up. They'll pick him up. So it teaches you character and integrity. Your word must be your bond. Professionalism is key. That is why they used to pay that money, the salary they used to give to bankers then. So you don't put your eye in another person's money. So you are well paid to focus on the job, and you see the way they dress, because you project the image of the organization. Another thing is attention to details. You cannot afford to go and add another zero. When the customer says $5,000, you're not going to put 500,000. You're going to pay for that money. So you are alert. You don't answer phones, you focus. And that's a very good place to learn character, discipline, attention to details, punctuality, time management, stress management, all this. So you can imagine when somebody leaves one bank to another bank, you know that you're starting from zero. So that self-motivation that Dr. Larry said is very important, because you're starting from scratch. And within 6 months, you're supposed to meet a particular target. I knew when my last bank, I was supposed to bring 1.6 million in is it million or billion? No, it should be billion. In 6 months. I knew how I was running everywhere, but it brought out the best in me. It made me to see relationships. Your former relationships in the other bank, are they able to move with you? So you learn character, you learn discipline, you learn self-motivation by being a financial worker. And most importantly, integrity. Not to take what is not your own. Very, very, very important. Now, over to you, Mr. Jude. What are the skills needed in the ICT sector? That is very, very important. Now that we know that ICT is in fact, that skill is what we need in the hospitals, we need it in the banks, we need it everywhere, even in human resources. We need to be able to analyze data. So what would you recommend to people who want to learn these skills? You've already told us that you have an academy for training people. So what other skills, sir, do you recommend for people who want to work in the ICT sector? Over
All
to
right,
you.
thank you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you so much. Yeah, yeah, just to start from where the last speaker stopped, yeah, and just to agree with you as well. Someone once told me that if you worked in a Nigerian bank, you can work anywhere in the world.
True.
Because the Nigerian banking system brings out everything in you. It brings out character, it brings out professionalism, it brings out pressure, it brings out everything. So if you pass through a Nigerian bank, I don't think there's anywhere you cannot work.
Nowhere.
So yeah, absolutely. So to look at the skills needed in the ICT sector, when Dr. Larry was speaking, he talked about technical skills that you need in the banking sector and all of that. Yes, for the ICT sector, it's a bit different because where the technical skills that we are talking about, you need technical skills in the ICT sector, but there's a baseline technical skills, right? So we're not talking about word processing, presentation. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about skills that are specific to certain areas. So I'm going to just outline certain skills that are required, that you require in the ICT sector currently. And I'll also talk about jobs of the future, things that you're supposed to be looking at doing now in order to remain, if you want to become employable, especially in the ICT sector, there are things that you should also be looking at and preparing yourself in that light. So there are quite a number of skills. The ICT sector is extremely broad. There is the software arm of ICT. There's the infrastructure arm of ICT. There's the communications arm of ICT. Everything is extremely big. So right now, there's even AI, there's even artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality, all of that. So it's extremely broad. So if you're looking at, say, okay, you want to become a software developer, for instance, you need to learn coding skills. What are these coding skills? What kind of codes are relevant in the market today? You need to look at that. So there are quite a number of programming languages that you can learn, depending on what you want to do. You can look at, take for instance, you can look at PHP, for example. PHP has quite a number of frameworks, from Laravel to other frameworks that you can also learn, so you need to look at that particular skills to learn. Because if you're looking at, let me just break it down. Software as a whole can be broken down into several sections. So you can have front end and back end, right? So if you want to major in the front end, sometimes you don't even need to learn how to code. There is what we call the UI UX, the user interface and user experience engineer. Everybody's an engineer right now. So anything you say, you add an engineer to it, you understand? So in order to learn how to become a user interface and user experience design, there are some skills you need to learn. You need to learn how to use tools like Figma, tools like Adobe, XD, and all of that. You need to be able to learn product development. How do you develop product? You need to be able to learn user experience, in terms of what are the visuals? What do people, what would they love to see when they are seeing your product? You understand? How do you want them to navigate a particular solution? So all of those have to do with the user interface and user experience. And with this particular kind of job role, you don't require any coding skills. All you require is some form of design skills. So if you're good at, say, Corel Draw, or skills like maybe you know how to do some graphic designs, you have a very good chance of becoming a UI user interface and user experience designer. But like I also like to add this caveat: you must have interest. If there is no interest, there's no way you can learn any of these things. So you must have something. You must be very passionate about it. It must be something you're interested in. It must be something you're passionate about. If you don't have those two, I think you'll just be wasting time. So we also have what we call front-end developers. So front-end developers are people who translate what you have learned, what you have designed, into workable things. You know, what can interact with people that are building the database, you know, and all of that. So if you want to also learn front-end development, that's another skill you need to have. You know, but that requires coding. So it's a coding skill. So you must be passionate as well to in order to learn coding skills. And in coding, like we've all heard people say analytical skills are good. So yes, you must be able to have analytical skills when it comes to coding. So you should be able to analyze properly, problem-solving skills, you know, and all of that. So it's extremely important. I am still talking about the technical skills. There are other soft skills that have to do with in the IT sector, but I'll major more on the technical skills for now. So when you move from the front end, you come to the back end. The back end can be broken down into so many parts as well. There are those that are strictly on the database end, and there are those that are strictly just back end building application program interfaces and all of that. So if you are part of those that want to say, okay, I want to learn the back end language, yes, it's another programming skill, and you can learn all of that. But in our day-to-day, we also have what we call full stack developers. These are people that build both front end, back end, database, everything. They are just everywhere. They do everything. You know, there are very few of them. There are not many, you know, and most organizations too might not even want to have somebody that does everything. They would like to break. I'll get to that later to tell you why most organizations don't like that, you know, and also you like to have it broken down so that everybody has what a specific task to them, you know, and they perform their task individually and all. So a lot of technical skills. Another technical skill that is very relevant right now is data science skills, data analytics skills. So you must be able to look at, you know, well, back in the days, you hear people like that say, what do you do? I enter data or I capture data capturing, you know, where you capture data into a particular, maybe in Excel, or you go for a survey, you get data, you know, and all of that. And you use some statistical skills to analyze all those data. Now that has graduated from just statistics, it has gone to data science. You understand? That is the actual data science, but just that we've taken it now to a higher level where you don't just study that particular data, but you now put that data in such a manner that can actually inform decisions that will be made in the future. You know, this particular data, it can also, the particular data now can also be used by machines to learn patterns, to learn behaviors, to create something like artificial intelligence, you know? So that's data science as a whole. Data analysis is a skill that you can easily learn. That is, you don't require coding, a lot of coding skills to do that. We offer that particular training in our organization every weekend, you know, where people come in and they carry out data analysis classes for 4 weekends using Microsoft Power BI, you know, and all of that. We offer that particular service as well in our organization. It's a training, but we do that. And I would like to tell a story on this data analytics. You know, my younger brother, my kid brother, our last born, was planning to travel abroad to Canada with his family. And he's in the IT space quite all right. So first of all, he had to look at himself. He said, look, I'm in the IT space, but what I'm doing right now is irrelevant in Canada. You understand? He was working for Huawei while he was here in Nigeria. And what he was doing was all those communication, all those network things. And he asked himself, is that relevant in Canada? So he read here and there and saw that it wasn't really relevant. So he didn't want to go there and get stuck. And he found out the skills that were relevant in Canada. And one of those skills was data analysis. And he started studying data analysis, self-taught. He also passed through our class as well. And then he learned quite enough, got sample data, joined several groups on LinkedIn, and started creating data, analyzing them, publishing them, publishing his works that he has done, the analysis that he has done so far, publishing the dashboards that he has created, getting complex data, analyzing them, and also publishing. And lo and behold, when he got to Canada, it wasn't hard. In less than a month of getting to Canada, he got a job with a very big organization. You understand? And he's growing and enjoying himself there. So those are part of those skills that you can also learn. Technical skills that you can learn that can also help you. Let me move away from the technical skills a bit. I'll come back to jobs of the future. When we look at Mrs. Lisa has talked about some skills that I have mentioned are very relevant in the ICT space. You understand? So talking about communication skills, you need to be able to communicate. IT guys or IT people generally are known for being sedentary. You understand? So you just focus on what you're doing. You're not talking to anybody else. Mind your business, that kind of thing. But no, IT has grown from that particular realm to a new realm right now. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It has grown from that particular realm to a new realm. So in this particular realm now, we're talking of more of collaboration, agile methodology, Scrum kind of system, of doing things. And in using this kind of methodology, you must interact with people. You cannot do things alone. You cannot be working in silos. So you need to be able to have that kind of communication skills and collaborative kind of skill. You must be able to say, okay, I'm working on a particular project. If I am stuck, do I just sit down there? Before, when you're stuck at a point, you crack your head until you finish solving that particular problem. But now, you need to be able to talk to people. Who can I ask? How do I get a solution to this particular problem? So if you do not know how to communicate or you do not know how to collaborate, there's no way you can talk to people if you're on a project, okay? Also, adaptability, because IT is the fastest evolving sector, you understand? So what you know today might be obsolete in 6 months, you understand, if you're not careful. So you need to be able to adapt. You need to be able to adapt with speed. I'll give another story. There was a project we did in Port Harcourt for an oil and gas company. So what the project was about was to automate the entire business process. And when we got there, we did that automation for about 90 days. It took us 3 months to finally finish the entire automation. I'm talking about the people there have good computing skills. When you talk about Excel, they were very good at Excel, advanced Excel, extremely advanced. You understand what I'm talking about? So, and when we got there, there were just so many people in the organization. The company had so many people it was a particular department. In that particular, I had over 20 people in that department working on something. And when we had finished the automation, the MD of the company called me and said, Jude, with these things people have done, I don't need up to 5 people in this department. So you can see that that's already spelling doom for the other 15 people because 15 people are going to go. But he said, no, he's not going to. That was a very different case anyway. He didn't sack anybody. But some people in that particular department, rather than adapting to the new situation on ground, they were fighting it. So you cannot fight what has come to stay. You understand? So sometimes you need to adapt. In that particular situation, what some of them did was to learn this new process and became champions of it, early adopters. And when they became champion of this particular solution, they were the ones that started driving it. So most times when technology trends are moving that way, you must be able to adapt to say, okay, I'll give you another example when I talk about PHP. In the past, people were coding PHP with just raw codes. You're just doing all of that. But now you have frameworks that do all the coding for you. So you don't necessarily have to start doing all that raw coding by yourself. You understand? Same with Microsoft. So if you don't adapt, if you want to remain in the Stone Age, you'll be there. So you must be ready to adapt and move with the trends when it comes to ICT. I've talked about collaborative skills. You must be able to collaborate. So that's why I said, when I said initially that some organizations don't like having somebody that does everything, they want to break it into bits like that. So a front end, a UI UX person has to collaborate with a front-end developer. A front-end developer has to collaborate with a back-end developer. The back-end developer has to collaborate with, the database person, and it forms like an ecosystem where everybody works together. That's the beauty in that. So when we're looking at currently, what are the jobs of the future? So if you want to be relevant in the ICT sector in the coming years, there are certain things you need to look at. Jobs like becoming a data analyst. So you want to become relevant in the nearest future in the ICT space, you must understand data analysis. You must understand data science. You must also understand artificial intelligence. You understand? So learn languages like Python, like R, like other languages that has to do with artificial intelligence, and all of that. Cybersecurity as well. There's a lot of scamming going on around. So if you can be relevant in the cybersecurity space by understanding cybersecurity, you also be relevant because it's something that is needed in the future. If you also look at cloud solutions, everybody is moving cloud. Nobody is keeping data in on premise any longer in their offices. No, it's cloud. Why is that? So that you can access this information from any location you are in the world. And then you know that, yes, even there are quite a number of technical reasons why cloud is very, very important. But, cloud solutions. So become an expert in cloud solutions. There are quite a number of cloud solutions out there. There's Google, there's Amazon, there's Microsoft, and there's Alibaba. There's quite a number of cloud solutions out there that you can master in. You can read all of these things and then understand them. Internet of Things. People create smart homes these days. If you go around and you see all the real estate developers, most of them in Abuja, people like Bilal and what was the other one? I can't remember their name now. They have quite a number of smart homes. And you say what's the smart? When you're coming into your house, your lighting points are coming up. You can switch off, open your door from the office. All of that are Internet of Things. You can talk to your sound system and it comes on automatically. So when you learn how to develop and implement this kind of skills, you also be relevant in the future. Then you also talk about blockchain. We all know what's happening with blockchain industry. That has to do with Bitcoin, and all of that. Those are things that are going to be relevant in the future. So if you can find a way of plugging yourself into all the things that I've mentioned, it will be very difficult for you not to find a job in the future, because organizations, employers are looking for people with these particular skills, to harness and then to grow their organizations. I'll stop here for now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, our facilitator, Mr. Jude. That was quite insightful, and I really learned a lot, the UXS and the likes. I hope I'll come and do a training from your organization. Ladies and gentlemen, I've done a lot of projects with Mr. Jude. Mr. Jude, one thing I always say about him in all my trainings is, honestly, a leader has just spoken to us. Mr. Jude is someone I can recommend in terms of leadership and business management. We have put up a lot of things. I'm still going to allow Mr. Jude to talk about their training programs, because there are a lot of benefits which we could take advantage of. We also have a training on communication and business ethics, which we are looking at. We are looking at coming up February. It's going to come up February. So as many who are listening to us, you want to learn more about communication and business etiquettes, you can join. For those who have organization and you have people you can pay for, it's just for a token of 15,000 naira. I'm sure most of our facilitators that I do trainings with will know how ridiculous that amount is in terms of training and what we can deliver. So just 15,000 naira. If you are interested, we're going to send, Ikalone is sending a phone number on the chat group. You can chat us and register. And we hope it will be coming up by the grace of God on 6th and 7th February. So as many that have people you would like to register, you like to sponsor, it's very important you join us. Mr. G is also going to talk about the IT trainings. Just before we go into one very sensitive issue, as we take the questions that we have, I would like to say this, that as an employee, your employer is buying 3 things from you. There are 3 things the employer is looking out for. It's what we call the KSA: knowledge, skill, your knowledge, skills, and ability. There are 2 types of skills, basically. Somebody's
what are you talking about?
Please, can we unmute our mics? Thank you. So there are 3 things, like I said, that every employer is looking out for in an employee: the knowledge, the skills, and then the abilities. There are three major assets. Then when you talk about the skills, as it has been said, just to summarize, you have what we call the soft skills and technical skills. Now, your technical skills gets you the job. Your technical skills gets you the job. If I want to apply at Mr. Jude's organization, he's going to ask me, what do you know about web designing, software development? I can do this, I can do that, I can do this. He's more particular about what I can do. If Mrs. Lisa is asking me, I'm a doctor, okay, how many surgeries have you handled independently? This is that, and all that, and all that. Those are your technical skills. They are very important. But what keeps you the ladder of leadership is your soft skills. You cannot be more than where you are if you don't have good soft skills, if you don't develop your soft skills. And that brings me to 2 things you need to develop: capacity and competence. What can you do? Last week, Friday, I was at a training session with Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. Fortunately, I was talking about one of my boss, which I'm going to tell the story, and I will go into question and answer. There was this day I was promoted in my former organization to become executive assistant and personal secretary to the chairman. So when I got promoted, I was up there with the boss and so happy and everything. One day, the boss gave me a paper that I should go and give someone to type downstairs. Don't forget, I was the executive assistant and personal secretary to the chairman CEO, but he's sending me to go and type a document downstairs. And so I picked up the letter and then went downstairs. I was going downstairs and I met our legal advisor, who was my boss then, you know, and I could call her my mentor. She said, "Where are you going?" I said, the chairman said I should go and give someone to type the letter. He said, "Who are you?" And I said, "Of course, August secretary." He said, "He's sending you as a secretary to go and give the document to someone to type." And it just got done on me. And then she said something which I want to drop for us. She said, "Segun, make yourself relevant." So if there's anything you're going to take home from this session, is that how relevant are you in your organization? If they ask to close the shop in your company and you are not around, what is your level of impact in the system? What is your level of impact in the system? How relevant are you in your organization? Not that you used to be relevant. Stay relevant. And if you want to stay relevant, you must have the skill set, because your mindset determines your skill set. The way you think determines your productivity. So I want to go into question and answer. If you have any questions, you can signify by raising up your hand. But I think 2 questions were dropped earlier on the chat box. And I'm going to read out the questions, and our facilitator can contribute to those questions very quickly. We want to have those questions very quickly. If you have a question, you can raise up your hand. If there's any question of concern, we have experienced people here who can handle. So the first question is, someone who is a mass communication graduate applying for public relations. I think this is quite simple. I think mass communication and public relations are in the same family. You cannot remove public relation from mass communication, and then you cannot do public relation without communication. So like I said, it's not about what you have read now. For instance, if you look at our curriculum for computer science, Mr. Jude will agree with me that he cannot work in the IT industry. Mr. Jude, I think you can stress that at this point.
Yes, our current curriculum in the Nigerian university cannot work, like you rightly said, in the ICT industry, because it's completely obsolete. You know, in the current system, they're still teaching you things like Fortran, COBOL,
Pascal.
you know, Pascal. Nobody uses that kind of thing any longer. You understand? So, and a lot of times, that's why I insist on, you need to be passionate. If you want to be successful in ICT, if you want to have a great career, it must come from your inside. You need to be passionate. So the passion now will drive self-taught. Then almost everything you have to learn, you will teach yourself. There are lots of materials out there right now for you to learn. Lots of platform on the internet, you know, for you to learn a lot of things. And there are lots of places for you to even practicalize what you have learned online. So sometimes we learn a lot of these things online, but we don't have anywhere to practice them. That is why I'll go back to what I said initially about internships. So you can look for any ICT consulting company and say, okay, look, I want to do an internship with you guys. Don't pay me. I'll be coming to work every day. Don't pay me. You understand? I'll just come for 6 months and you put to use what you have learned so far, you know, and after that, you know that, man, I'm grounded, and then you can move on. You can move on. Yeah, there's one, sorry, just to add, there's one more thing I failed to mention. There's what we call a quality assurance expert or quality assurance engineer as part of those skills that are also needed for the future. These are people that actually test solutions, you know, just to make sure that they are good and they are okay, you know. And why am I saying this? I'm just saying that to buttress my last point of internship. You know, that was last year, 2022, yes. Somebody came to our organization and he wanted to do NYSC, right? And we told him we're not going to pay him anything, but he should just come in and then learn. There were two of them. One of them didn't stay, one of them left, but the other stayed and he learned. Then he knew nothing when he came. But today, he's a quality assurance expert. He has left the organization and he has gotten a job in a very fantastic organization. You understand? As what? A tester, a quality assurance tester. You understand? So these are part of the things I'm talking about. So you must be ready and willing to learn, to sacrifice some time to say, okay, I want to learn under somebody, I want to carry out an internship under somebody. Okay. All right. Over to you,
Mr. Jude, a question just dropped on the chat box. I've been in the chat box. That does the organization have? Let me read it as it is. Does your Mr. Jude's academy have arrangement for youths and children under 15 years of age?
Yeah, we had started that. We started that before in the past, but we put a hold on it for now because we had some challenges at that particular time, and we put a hold on it. But I'm very sure when we start it again, I will definitely get in touch with Mr. Segun to get in touch with you. But for now, we've scrapped that particular aspect of the academy.
Okay, so I would like Mrs. Lisa to respond to this question. The question says that job openings that want to employ one person for 4 roles, but pay majorly under the disguise of startups. That is, they want you to be the business development officer slash, what can I combine? Admin, or maybe the software developer slash accountant. And you are like, what's this? And then they will not tell you, we are startups. But they want you to perform like somebody who has been trained or who has worked as a first bank.
Abigail asked that question. Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Abigail.
So, okay. Mrs. Lisa.
Well, what I would have to say about this is just like Mr. Jude has kept reinforcing, is that there are a lot of skills that you can apply in many different places. And if you find yourself in a place where you're being asked to do more than you think you should be doing, and a lot of employers are doing that now, with the current economic situations, people are looking to say, okay, how can I reduce my costs? How can I reduce, my expenses? If I can get one person to do more than they are doing, that would help me as an organization. So if you're talking about a startup and they're asking for people to be able to do more than what they are doing, I would say in the same mindset that Mr. Jude says, that look at yourself as an intern. You're learning more things. And the more things that you're learning means that you're better equipped to be able to sell yourself in other areas. So I would say, well, if you're being asked unreasonably to be doing really, really more than you should be doing, and it's going to conflict with your ability to be able to deliver on any of those roles specifically, then it's important that you address that with them and say, look, if you want me to be able to achieve X, Y, Z for you, then I would only be able to do, this specific role. And I don't think I'll be able to give my best in another role. But I think that in startups, you have an opportunity to learn a lot of things at the same time, which gives you then the advantage where you found yourself learning and being able to translate those skills in a lot of other areas. I don't know if Ikalone may want to add anything on to that.
Plenty things. I want to say plenty things. Let me tell you something. The person that asked the question, and what she's complaining about is that she's not saying that she cannot do it. She's just saying that the money was meager compared to the volume of work. It is for your own good. Employers nowadays have a lot of people's CVs they are going through. So during the interview, they want to choose the hen that produces the egg, the golden egg. So if I have someone who is a digital, maybe social media manager, who is very good with LinkedIn, Facebook, and can drive, and he tells me that he has a driver's license, and somebody else that says that, oh, I don't know how to do LinkedIn, I only know how to do WhatsApp, I will go for the person who tells me he's very good on LinkedIn, he's very good on Facebook, he's very good on all social media, email marketing, and can drive. So when you know that your ability to even add soft skills that nobody asked you for, and you mentioned that I can drive. I've met a lady who told me that she's an Uber driver, and I was intrigued. I'm like, oh, you drive? Because sometimes when I want to go for a presentation with my staff, and I don't want to drive, I'm like, oh, get on the steering and drive. So why should I take you who has not developed your own self and somebody else who has done work on her own self to add other things, and I'll take the other person. So don't look at it as the money is small. To get into the door of that organization, you need to pad your CV with a lot of benefits. So you are just looking at it that they are paying me small. There are many people that are out there. So for you to even get into that door, try and get other things and mention that you can do those things, that you can type, you are a writer, you're an author, soft skills, just put all those things there. I'm like, oh, nice. So you need to be able to sell yourself. Don't think that you are being, I will not tell them, well, you're getting yourself off the list. I would choose someone that has more skills that are not needed, but they are soft skills that can be useful in the future, than someone that just comes with one role and just sits there pretty. Because at the end of everything, by you using your skill consistently, you are getting better than it being dormant and you're not utilizing it. So that is my contribution to that person.
Thank you very much, Ikalone. Yes. I have this question for Dr. Larry. What are the opportunities? Because I seem to get a bit confused in the financial sector now, because IT has taken over. But I want to ask, what are the opportunities you think we can tap into as employees in the financial sector?
Thank you very much for the question. I would like to maybe start by saying every employee should be able to ask himself a basic question. What skills do I have? What competencies do I have? And how relevant will they be in the next 3, 4, 5 years? Because sometimes what you have in the shortest run not be needed in the marketplace anymore. In the labor market, nobody may be looking for those skills. And once upon a time, everybody was looking for an MBA holder.
Yeah.
But today, nobody talks about whether you have an MBA or not.
True.
So today they talk about, okay, do you have any certification in this area? If you're an HR person, for instance, it's not enough to say I'm a member of an institute. They ask you, are you certified? In what area are you certified? Because if you look at the entire value chain of HR now, you have chosen a particular, you have carved a niche for yourself in a particular area. Okay, so you're not jack of all trades, and you have gone for, certifications in those areas. It's very important. Also into the financial system, it's so dynamic, and we can never talk about it as a brought in and the influence of IT and what we are doing right now. As you can see, many of the banks today are collapsing. They're collaborating more with themselves. And with their collaboration, they are reducing their staff strength. They are cutting down on the number of people who are working for them.
Yes.
And because they have a peculiar practice that even though CBN frowns at it, they employ people, they casualize their workers. And then even if they employ you after 5 years, because they don't plan to pay you pension, they look for a reason to let you go. Now, if you do a proper scanning of that kind of work environment being what is available, then you want to ask yourself, so what should I arm myself with? What should I arm myself with? There's a need for us to think beyond the now. By the time AI comes fully on board, I mean, like for instance, people who are into communications, for instance, the front desk officers and those who are dealing with customers today, their jobs are being taken over by machines.
True.
Because you can call into MTN, you can call into the bank, you can call into any organization, you are going to have an interaction with the machine. And they will tell you what you should do. And then you follow their prompting, and then you get your results. I mean, you get the service that you need, and then you walk away. So it's going to be very difficult now to begin to tell the young people what should they be looking at. Because gradually, the space for the banks are shrinking.
True.
The jobs are being taken over. There are so many, for instance, let me use CBN for example. There are so many redundancy in the system, so many redundancy, multiplication of the same task, okay? Multiplication of the same task, and then bringing in people, and you find 30 people doing the same thing. You know, it's not what you want. It's not efficient. It's not what it is. So if you come into the banking industry, you must use it as a stepping stone, except if you want to become professional, like a chartered accountant, an investment banker. Of course, all these things, they require beyond the ordinary for you to be able to play in those stuffs. If you meet an average investment banker, he has no time for frivolity. If he doesn't have time for fun, his eyes are always glued on Bloomberg. That movement of different activities out there. so that they can take a position, move their funds to where they can make more money. Those are more exciting. And of course, if you want to play in that turf, then you have to go beyond just an ideal coming to work in the bank as a teller or as an operations manager. All the people you see in the banks today, all over the place, I don't call them bankers. I call them cash dispensers, because all they do is dispense cash. They don't do the actual banking. Then they ask them to go for marketing. They bring in the money. Now, when they bring in the money, somebody is responsible for placing those funds. Somebody is responsible, and that's what the people are called the real bankers, okay? Because they are doing the actual banking. Others are just helping to bring in the resources. That's my own take. I'm saying this now because for quite some years I worked with the CIBN and the central bank to come up with a framework for professionalism in the banking industry, particularly for executive appointments. Because for some time, some banks, if you are able to bring in certain amount as your cabal, they will give you AGM, they will give you and all of those positions, and we had to put a stop to it. And then we now said for anybody in the banking industry to be promoted as an assistant general manager, you must send the person's profile to CBN. And when we see those profiles, we want to be sure whether those individuals actually have what it takes to be able to manage other people's funds. Not just because they brought in, somebody barely spends 5 years in the banking industry. He's already an AGM because he has gone to bring in so much more money. And he's taking decisions that are affecting, the lives of other people. I know I was very unpopular in the industry when I insisted that people that had this honorary banking, HCIBN, and they were flaunting it as professional qualification. And I said, no, you cannot, because it is not. You did not write an exam for it. It's honorary. It's by reason, if you know them, they will give it to you. So we are not going to accept it. They didn't like it, but eventually they just had to remove it. And then many people had to go and acquire what is required. So again, it's not a one-cap-fits-all kind of thing. We need to understand where we want to play. What do you want to do? Which sector do you want to play? And then develop yourself along those lines. I don't want to give you a straitjacket answer because it will not work, given what is happening in the industry today.
Thank you very much, sir, Dr. Larry. That was a good one. I have a question here. Someone just dropped a question. David Icha said, to what extent can interns work for free? To what extent can interns work for free, particularly given income gaps among entry level? He said, I had an internship experience where I made money for my then organization and yet not being paid despite handling several roles. So what's the healthy balance for interns as regarding payment? Should they just focus on building experience, forgetting the income gap realities, or what's the balance? I think I have one or two things to say from here.
Segun, after you, I have something to say too.
Okay. So let me tell you this. Good things are not cheap. Once you build value deposit in yourself, you can't be cheap. I like the dimension Ikalone used to answer the other question the other time, that your boss is using you, he is not wasting you, he is making you.
Hey, powerful.
Now, when he's using you for different things, you are being made to be able to do different things.
Yeah.
Now, when that value and capacity begins to increase in you, then your money will come.
Yes.
What we are saying is that there is a time not to be too money crazy. There is a time to build capacity. You understand? Dr. Larry has retired, but he's not tired because capacity is still there. There are a lot of civil servants Once they retire, they are just redundant. They don't know where to go. They don't know where to start from. I know him. He's doing projects here and there as if this is what he has been doing. You understand? Because you build capacity. Some other people were in the civil service. They thought the government to pay us, I will collect pension, and they kept doing nothing. So I'm trying to say that now they might not pay you at that point, but something will pay you later. Definitely pay you later. I had the experience of where I worked. I was not paid 7 months salary. And I was working and I'm telling you, I closed 6:30 to 7, and the boss calls me back, say, meet me in the office. I'm going to the office. And we have to return. So, but in the course of that experience, I was building my consultant experience. When I left that place, I got an offer that was times 3.5 of what I was earning. In another 6 months, I got an offer that was almost times 4 of what I was earning, because I built capacity. Ikalone, over to you.
All right, thank you very much. I need to say this at this time because I hear that a lot. Many people approach employers and like, please mentor me, mentor me. They see something that they like, right? And we say that, okay, this is not a school, it's not an institute. But do you know that you're actually supposed to pay for the knowledge that will be transferred to you? Let me give you an example. As basic as learning hairdressing, or sewing, or fashion designing, if you want to learn that skill, you go to the place by the local stand and you ask them how much to learn this. They tell you whether it's 60,000 naira a year or for 6 months. You go and get the money to learn hairdressing. And you buy a crate of mineral and a packet of cabin biscuits. You go and submit it to the person by the local shop who is going to transfer knowledge to you. That person also takes that malt and blesses you that you will learn and brings you in and sends you on errands to also increase his work capacity. But it is in your service that you learn the skill. It's just like Elisha learning from Elijah. But when people come to organizations, they see a skill that they don't have and they want to acquire it. It is so tough for them to offer a token to even learn. And we're not even saying that you should even bring a token. We're saying, you want to learn, come in, we will teach you, but we will not pay you. It is a big deal because people have not come to see the value of what is going to be transferred. It's a virtue. It took years of experience. So those are the things I test. I love to train people, but I always test the character, their hearts. How hungry are you to get this? Because I have eaten many times selflessly, and it has made me become who I am today. That I know who a real staff should be because I have served people. But when I see people talking about money first, they are not serious. People come and ask me, what time will you be working? Is it 8 to 5? Is you work on Saturdays? They are not serious, because if you want to get the virtue out, you have to be following the leader every step to know how he wakes up. If it's the way he wakes up in the morning that we drop the virtue, maybe if there's a ritual he does. It's not by coming when everywhere has been set up. You have to be there as the rising to the fall of the person's life. So people that always complain about, oh, they are intended, you are not hungry to get it. If you are hungry to get it, knowing that whatever you get is forever yours, and you want to sacrifice to ensure it drops on you fully, you should be ready to pay the price. Because if you want to go and learn a skill at the roadside mechanic or hairdressing or salon, you carry malt, you carry biscuit, and you pay the fee just to go and learn. And they also, I don't want to use the word use you, they send you to make their jobs done. But to come and learn in an organization with skills, corporate skills, you think they should pay you? You are not hungry enough. If you want to learn a skill, go and pay an institute. Go and pay at the academy, pay the fees. And stop looking for, oh man, I will learn very fast, but you want me to pay you when you don't have the skills. That's what I have to say. If you are hungry enough to learn, you go and serve. It's called service. Why do you think the Igbo what's that thing that they call in the Igbo sector, apprenticeship works. That is where you get the real skill. That is why a business person can stay with somebody even without going to school and becomes a billionaire, because he's staying by the man that is the merchant and he's learning how he does everything. It's not by saying, knock, 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 I've come by 9 o'clock. You wake up with the man and you close with the man to see how he does it, so that is the full apprenticeship or mentorship. And that is the best way to learn. And those people, within maybe 3 years, they go and set up their own business and they are very good. But most youths today, they don't want to pay the price. They just want to receive money for no skill at all. And it is very, very hurtful. I think that's what I have to say to close that chapter. Over to you, Segun.
Okay, thank you very much. Another question just dropped. He said, good afternoon, mine is on services. I have noticed a high level of poor services from most organizations, if not all. What role can one play to improve this identified gap, even at one's organization? Okay, I think I'll allow contributions, but was it Miles Moreau that said this, that the problem you have observed is the solution you are created to solve? The problem you have observed in your organization is the solution you have been created to solve. You know, see, every business today was once an idea in someone's head. It was translated, it was executed to become a service. Now, in the management class, we say that if there is no problem in your organization, then there is a problem. In fact, create one. So if you notice a gap in your organization, that is what you have been designed to solve, because it's only you that is seeing it as a problem. Others might see it too, you know, but you must make moves or efforts to solve it. How can you solve it? You might need to read about it, ask questions about that kind of problem from people who you feel they have solved similar problems, or you can observe or study about such problem. The internet is there to study, and then you have also platforms of professionals, maybe your institute or wherever platform you belong to, where you can ask questions, and then these things you can have better insights to how to go about solving those problems. I don't know if anyone
Okay, Segun, let me add to this. Always give feedback. Always give feedback. If you go to any place and you observe poor service, look for the manager. I do that a lot as an ex-banker. I get to the banking hall and they are keeping me on queue. And I'm like, and the manager is sitting down there and people are not doing their work. I always say, please, who is the manager? Because I know what good service is all about. You can't experience good, or you know how good it's supposed to be, and you go to a place and they are doing bad things and you walk away, you're part of the problem. Always give feedback. I don't keep quiet. I'm like, why are people sitting down there? I did it recently in GT. I worked in GT and they kept me there. And I'm like, please, who is the operations manager, lady? I said, but yes, what is happening here? I had to say that what is happening here, this is not how the GT I used to be. So that has made them to pay attention, because if you are kept on the queue for so long and nothing is happening, you're part of the problem. Escalate. You know what is right. We need to start speaking up rightly. They were not doing anything. So you have done very well by identifying it's a problem. If somebody tries to jump the queue, say, no, go back. You have to start talking for what is right. So when you don't talk, you are allowing the wrong to keep on. So as you have noticed it, anywhere you are, please speak up, let your voice be heard. All right, Segun, I think we need to talk about corporate communication and business etiquette, because most times we don't know how we're supposed to talk in a corporate environment. And we are very passionate about that. And we have the training coming up in the month of February, because we believe that communication is life. You know, every human being has to talk. You know, communication is key. And from all the facilitators we have had today, everyone spoke about the need for interpersonal communication, how to get your ideas out, how to empathize in the hospital, even the ICT people, how they are supposed to interact with their clients, getting feedback. If you're designing a website, is this what you want? Because most times people waste time, like we did project management for Brian Systems the other day. You waste time without getting the brief of what your client wants by not asking the right questions. Even in the banking sector, you need to understand what your client, what your customer is saying. Invest this money for a particular time. You need to find out, is it in CA, is it BA now? What kind of investment do you want to do? So communication is key, but how do we communicate right? How do people even know that they are not communicating is also part of communication? And that is what we want to bring to everyone here in the month of February. And February is going to be a working day, but the training will be in the night because we believe that people should have come back from work, and we would also have the replays. So for those that don't meet up, they will also get to watch valuable experiences of how they can be competent communicators in every area of their businesses, and the work ethics, how to dress, how to communicate, how to write, business writing, your memos, all those things that you do, the kind of emails that you send, you know, even how you dress up outside the work environment. As a banker, I knew then that you cannot wear your ID card and go out to a place and be drinking. All those small things that people do and say does not matter. It really, really does. Segun, sorry, I took over the microphone from you. Segun, I took over the mic from you. Because,
okay,
go ahead, Segun.
Oh, thank you very much. Our time is fast spent, and
Yes.
We might be drawing the curtain at this point.
Yes.
But just before then, I'd like to give our facilitators just a sentence or just a closing remark from all our facilitators. But just before then, I'd like to appreciate everyone who has come along. First, I want to celebrate our facilitators once again out of their busy schedule. Mrs. Lisa, you're wonderful. You are really wonderful. In fact, I wish we can. Technology has not allowed us to share a hug, you know. I'm happy to have you on board. My chief, Dr. Larry, I'm so honored to have you. And Mr. Jude, honestly, you are just there every time and just keep being there. So I would like us to, the facilitators, to have a final word, an advice for, a parting word for our participants. Thank you. Dr. Larry, over to you.
Okay, Dr. Larry, okay.
You can unmute, sir.
Thank you so much, Segun. My passing shot to the young people, it's that if you can become an employer, become an entrepreneur, if you can, and you should be able to. Every year, thousands and hundreds of thousands of people come into the labor market. It's becoming increasingly difficult to attract a very good job given our current environment in the country today. Maybe beyond just getting your certificate and getting qualified, you want to get some entrepreneurial skills and then maybe start something. Maybe whilst waiting to land that your dream job, why don't you start something? There are angel investors all over. There's a program we run for youth corpers under Bank of Industry, and we teach them over 2 weeks entrepreneurship development skills. And sometimes we allow people from outside that group to join in, and we try to get them. It's done pro bono. It's what we give back to the society, because we know we have a lot of challenges fixing people up. It's becoming increasingly very difficult. So we decided that let's teach them entrepreneurial skills. Let them begin to learn to start small, become a startup, and let's see how we can help you to get investors to support your venture. So please, maybe they want to, beyond interviewing skills and knowing getting these big jobs, you can also become an employer of labor, but start small and grow yourself. I think it's even the better way to go.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jude, over to you. Your parting word.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Just to say that, like Mr. Larry just said, while you're waiting to land that big dream job, you need to be able to lay out your plans and your goals for your life. Where do you want to see yourself? What do you want to achieve from life, and what are those things you need to do to get to where you want to get to? I'll go back to there's a question that was raised about internship and where to strike the balance. So I will just say this as a parting word, apply to that particular person. See that particular internship as a signpost to where you are going to. You understand? This is just a directional sign to a place I am heading to. I'm here right now. I am not going to do this forever. I'm here for a while to learn certain skills, to learn certain things that will help me better my future. You understand? So see that as I am right now, I can go and do an internship under somebody.
Yeah.
Just to learn certain skills. You understand? So see that. And also to say that for those that are interested in the training on data analytics using Microsoft Power BI, I will drop the details on the chat. I think I've done that. Usually we charge 70,000 for 4 weekends, but for this class, we'll be giving anybody coming from this class a 50% discount, so you can join at 35,000. All right.
I want to register. I want to jackpot to Canada too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so you can call all the numbers on the chat there. You can speak to either Osas or Emmanuel Bassi for more details. Okay.
Fantastic.
I just sent a message. I hope I didn't direct it to.
Please send it here. Put it for everyone. Put it for everyone.
Sorry. I sent it to a particular person. Oh, sorry.
Put it there. Ensure you say you're from Emerge. If not, they will not listen to you. Emerge into it. We're going to emerge big time.
Okay, so you can do that. 4 weekends to learn Power BI, data analytics with Power BI. We're giving you guys a 70% discount if you are from Emerge. All right, those are my parting words.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
I hope Mrs. Nisa will not tell me that if I want to do 5 CS in Nisa Premier House.
Unfortunately, I'm not in a capacity to be able to give discounts on that. If it was my personal business, maybe we would be having a different conversation. But my parting words to everyone is first and foremost to thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to join in today. I really appreciate this. And to my fellow panelists, it was lovely to have this interaction with you. I'm sure at some point in the future, we'll probably see each other again in the similar sort of sphere. To the participants on the forum, I would say this opportunity that you've had today to listen to, this information that's come to you from very seasoned professionals, I think it is really important for you to take advantage of opportunities that come to you. There are many free trainings that are going on like today's, and even the opportunities for the other trainings. And as you can see, discounts are made available to you in these forms of, in this sort of avenues. So the more you join these avenues, the more you get the opportunity to build those skills. And those skills are things that belong to you. No matter how you are given, tasks to do in the organization, when you leave the organization, you take them with you. They belong to you. And they are yours for you to use for your future, in whether it's your own private business as you set up your entrepreneurships or whatever the case may be. And a lot of us started from those places. Those of us, I'm so happy to speak with people who have banking experiences, because the things I've heard remind me of those days when I started. So please take advantage of these trainings. They are very, so many of them in many, many different avenues. All you need to do is just keep linking up with people and find where they are. Just take the 1 hour, 2 hours, log on. It's just a little bit of data, but you're learning something every day. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ma. Before I hand over finally to Ikalone, I would just like some of our participants to say something. Tell us how you feel about this session. Faith, Atagugba, Ikechukwu, I can see David. I can see Hiroya. Hiroya has been online since the beginning. Marian, Michael, Mrs. Magaji, Oluwaseun Amodu. I just want one or two of you to say something before Ikalone will close for the day. Thank you so much. Anybody just unmute your mic and speak. Thank you.
Yeah, because I've been on the line since. Thank you. My name is Royal Emeka Baworo. I'm so delighted to be here. Segun, good to see you again. We've not done a get together last year. Hope to do this year. Thank you, everybody. I'm really impressed, and I'm sure each and every one of us that we that have listened to you people are going to make sure that we make good use of all that we have learned today. On behalf of the rest of us, a very good weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other female, any other voice? Yes.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone.
Okay.
My name is Ikechukwu Nosike, and
Okay.
I want to say thank you to all our facilitators, the hosts, and the co-hosts, Mr. Segun, my very Mr. Segun. I met you in a section with Coach Zach's 3D Hub, and I've been following you ever since then. Yes, and seriously, I've been learning a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ikalone Udo. Thank you so much. Your response to a question actually struck me so much. Thank you, Dr. Larry. I learned a lot. Thank you, Jude. I'm actually a tech person, and I've also learned a lot from your section. Thank you, Mrs. Lisa. Thank you so much. And I want to say because this actually, so I know how much people pay for sections like this, but here we are getting these things free. We don't take it for granted, and I believe God that we're going to put it into good use. And someday we'll meet you one-on-one and actually talk more and share other ideas. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Magaji. You want to say something?
Yeah, good afternoon. I really want to say thank you for this wonderful teaching. Actually, I once said I want to leave information technology, I want to leave IT, but with this teaching, I've learned a lot, and I think I will improve. I will start attending sections and stuffs like that. Really, I enjoyed it. God bless you all. We are so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So much. All right, what can I say more? I am so delighted that you all showed up. That's the most important thing for all of us, because this came out of a need to help people. In fact, this year we have been interviewing people, and it's been amazing that they don't understand the essence of volunteering, of just being part of something big, that's when their life becomes transformed. But I'm happy if you can just do this for one person and everybody goes with the right attitude. I believe that we'll stop complaining about unemployment. And somebody said something, that what is the way to open up your own business? How can you open up your own business when you have not learned under someone? You just go there and make mistakes. For heaven's sake, it's good to be an entrepreneur, but the best way is to go and start with a startup and see the challenges and see whether you should even leave your own paid employment. Some people say that I'm going to have my own business. But when they now saw that, man, to even run a small business is not easy, they decided to stay back there. That is it. So you need to know whether you're even called out for that first. But the truth is that I believe that seeds have been sown, and from here, you make up your mind to do what you want to do. But we have a training coming up, as we have advertised, on the 6th and 7th of February about communication. Very important skill that is needed in every form of business, even in our daily lives. Even how to get into the door, how to go for your interviews. You should not miss that training session. Mr. Segun and myself will be facilitating. It's going to be a 2-night session. It's going to be the night, so you have time and you have the replay just for 15,000 naira, and you have certificates with so much value. We hope that you will sign up. I want to say thank you for your 2 amazing hours with us. and we say thank you, and we share the links with everyone so you can catch the replay later. All right, thank you, and have a beautiful weekend. Thank you all, and bye from here.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, our facilitators, Dr. Larry. Thank you, Mr.
Bye.
Jude. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.